This is it. Only 10 seconds to go. I'm going to count them in. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi everyone, I have just realised that we don't have any sound. So, oh no, I do. Look at that. We've got sound. Hey everyone. So, we are back with another office hours, this time live from Copenhagen, or just outside Copenhagen, in the Robopack headquarters. I'm joined with a couple of people. As you can see, I have Harjit and Yuri. Unfortunately, you can't see the other guy. Nicholas, just there we go. There you go. It's like a giraffe you get in the zoo, kind of just coming over the fence there. And we do have him on a different camera, though. There you are.
There he is.
But when he actually does speak, then hopefully you can see him. Today we are talking about how Intune can be used by MSPs to manage multiple tenants and multiple customers, and also how Robopack can help MSPs do that. And we were just talking before we went live. We don't really prep for these, as you might guess. What problems do MSPs face in general when they're managing customers, regardless of using Intune? What kind of problems do they have in general? Any thoughts?
For me, would be shadow IT situation, right, where they don't have any control or visibility into what their end users are installing on their machines. So they don't have any controls in the environment for that, right? How do you manage that? How do you know what to patch?
And I guess that's kind of shared by enterprise as well, isn't it? Not
Yes.
just an MSP problem, but then
Right.
when you think of it from an MSP perspective, they've got lots and lots of
They got
enterprises to manage.
Exactly.
And then Yuri, we talked that we have a lot of experience with managing Intune. I do in enterprises, but I don't work for an MSP. But you
Yeah.
have had a lot more experience in that.
True. What we tend to see is that, and especially when it comes to third-party applications, that there is a lack of, and then internally with the customers of that MSP, internally there's a lack of knowledge on how to package apps. If they have the knowledge to package apps, it's really rather time consuming, so it costs them a lot of money. And then back from the perspective of the MSP, um, let's just take an application, whatever. But that application is being packaged by the MSP, which is good. It's put into Intune, so the MSP manages it. On the other hand, for customer B, that package maybe needs different parameters, like a VPN client or something like that.
Right.
So we need to repackage it every single time for that specific MSP. And then, it creates a rather overhead of always repackaging the same app and solving the same issue over and over again, which again is time consuming. And again, it costs a lot of money to do that. So that's where then Robopack comes in to streamline that application, because the application is in the store and you just alter the parameters and just push it to the tenant. Done.
You mentioned it's time consuming, so it takes a long time for them to do things, and they have to do lots of things. But it's even worse because I'm getting a phone call. That's annoying. It's even worse because there's a direct relationship between how many hours they have and the quality of service to their customers. Because if they're spending hours packaging apps for one customer, another customer is not getting a good set of service.
Correct.
And so it's really important that they reduce the things that they need to do as much as possible and automate where they can.
Correct.
Right.
Definitely.
That said, Intune is a very powerful automation platform in general, so it's allowing them to do that to an extent. But I don't think it's there with the apps yet. They haven't really managed to.
No, correct. With Intune, usually when people work with Intune, and especially as an MSP, the first focus is on the policies. That's the thing, because the security guys say our devices need to be managed, our devices need to be secure. That's and sometimes they land up in a tunnel vision, which they really don't want to be, but they're not doing it on purpose. They just it grows into that tunnel vision, and they forget all about the applications. Um, I don't say that like applications are more important than devices and vice versa. They're equally important to manage and to update. But the first focus is going to compliance and conditional access and Intune policies and stuff like that. So We need to have like, or create like a silver lining, sort of say, in between the policies and the applications. But then again, they both take time. And you have some guys who are like super good with creating policies and keeping them up to date. And you have guys who are super good in application packaging. But there need to be some sort of consistency between them and a lot of communication also between them to like support them and take that customer from the MSP side to a higher level and to a secure level.
Yeah.
And then basically roll it out to all their customers.
Right.
I think that's one thing as well, the initial configuration of each app. And then when there's a new update, when there's a new vulnerability in that specific version, they need to do it all over again.
Yep.
At
All
the same
over again.
customer.
Yeah. For the same customer. So if you have 100 customers, you need to do it 100
Yeah,
times.
exactly. And then you also need to test the application. Something might have changed in the application.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hours going into that.
And even and that is something that happens, and it's not good for MSPs, but when your customer is calling the MSP to tell them, hey, there's a 0 day on that application, it's not so good for the MSP.
Right.
The MSP needs to be proactive on that. And
Exactly.
they are the first that need to know.
First line of defense is them.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's hard to track.
And I think it is hard to track, and it's difficult for an MSP to figure out where they should be putting their focus. And at least when I worked in, not MSP, it was a consultancy, we treated an application deployment or application packaging as one thing that you could make a project. You start the project, you do the app packaging, you finish it in 3 months' time. Everyone's happy, everyone's got their apps, close down the project, move on, do something different. And that's not how it works, because within that 3 months, Chrome has released 72 different versions.
Yeah.
So you've packaged the wrong version to start with.
Yeah.
And then it'll continue every week after that, a new version of Chrome, a new version of 7-zip. So that's the other problem, that you just can't treat it as a project, but you have to. When you're a consultancy, you're paid by the hour.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can measure it. So you just have to implement something else.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did start by saying that Intune was a pretty good automation platform. It helps by kind of standardizing how you would roll out your policies, because you can at least configure them. We have tenant managers that we can talk about, where tenant manager is great for having a template instead of policies and pushing them out across all of your organizations and detecting drift across all of those. But with the app side of things, there really isn't anything that helps as much as Robopack with multi-tenant capability. You might have seen the video I did a couple of years ago now, where I was blown away by the fact that it was multi-tenant.
Yeah.
Directly within the app. You just were able to deploy applications immediately to multiple tenants. So I wanted to cover that again, just with a quick demo of how you add multiple tenants. Hopefully it works. I've only got one screen because you can see I'm using a laptop, so hopefully this actually goes. And I'm not even sure we're live because we haven't had any chat messages. So I don't know how we find out if we're live. It's a problem these days, isn't it, to find out if you're live, especially when you've got such a small team of people. Everyone else has left the building. Can anyone see if we're live?
Yeah.
I think we're live, yeah.
Yeah, well, I know we're streaming somewhere. It says, but I mean, are we? Is it actually possible to see what we're
it's
talking
live.
about?
Yeah, we're live. Yeah.
Ah, nice. There you go.
Who's going to do something to react to?
Good. Oh, we have a message. We have a.
We have a message.
You see, they don't come up. That's the problem. Okay. Yeah.
Good.
I see. Yeah, we have people watching. Fantastic. Right. I'll do a quick demo, and what I'm going to do is just share my screen. You'll see some kind of inception thing going on when I do that, because you'll have to see all of our faces, and I can switch down to the thing. Okay, this is the Robopack interface you get, and when you go into settings, tenants, you can connect a tenant. We already have 3 tenants in there. We've got the MSP tenant I was talking about. We have a couple of Robopack demo tenants. The goal is to add another tenant, which will be this one over here. This, what are they? Just Contoso, obviously. And we're going to add these guys into Robopack and start managing them as if they were an extra tenant. So we can choose connect tenant. And I've already signed in, so I didn't have to fumble with password. But at this point, you would just sign in with that customer's global admin or cloud app administrator, thank you. And then this will work, hopefully. There we go.
Oh,
So we need some permissions in that organization. So it's Robopack's enterprise application that we will be adding to that customer tenant. And you can see a couple of things that are a bit confusing because we have read and write in Tune Apps. And then 5 down, we have read and write in Tune Apps, which always confuses customers when I talk to them, confused me when I first saw it. But this one is different to this one because one of them is delegated and the other one is application. And I can't remember which one it is. So there it is. So without a signed in user is the important bit. So one of them is delegated as me signing in here with this user account, and the other one is the enterprise application itself has that capability. So when I choose accept, it will give all the permissions to the Robopack enterprise application, and then it can do those things as itself without needing that user to be always available. We choose accept. Short pause. It'll do the testing of the connection. While we wait, Yuri, you I can't just switch like that, can I? I have to do this and then this. That's not good. Yuri,
Yes.
you just arrived in Copenhagen. How was the trip?
Good. It's like taking an Uber from Brussels, 1 hour flight.
Wow, that's a new meaning of the word taxi.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, it's the flights are from Brussels to Copenhagen. It's super easy.
Mm-hmm. Not quite the same from the UK. I had to stop over in Amsterdam.
Really?
That was fun.
Waste of time.
Well, no, I like Amsterdam. The airport is fantastic. Yeah,
Okay,
I spent a lot of time there.
yeah. Because you must.
I do. I do. Okay, so hopefully it's connected. It is. There we go. So we have at the top here, we've got Contoso. It's got the domain, the tenant ID. We have the authorized and no devices. I literally just created the tenant. I didn't do anything with it yet. But you can see it's authorized. At this point, we have the option to test access, which it already has done, so you don't need to do that. It's just if you want to reconfirm that the permission's still there. And also enable SSO. Any ideas what enable SSO would do?
you use your Entra ID credentials.
Yeah. So it would enable SSO for this customer to log in, though, which is normally not what we want, because then the customer would be able to log in to Robopack. They wouldn't be able to do anything without permission, but that's not normally what you would do.
I think this is one way of doing it right in Robopack. There's another way of doing it as well, right? If you are a partner as well, and normally this would normally fit, an MSP that are doing a managed service for the customers, where the customers doesn't need to log into Robopack at all. And this is a perfect way of doing it. And then you can manage it, all within the same patch groups and, do some standardization across those patch groups as well.
So why would you not want a customer to be able to log into Robopack?
I mean, you might have customers that are pretty small and don't, have any internal IT guys, and you just manage them for them. But if they have internal IT departments, they might need a specific Robopack instance themselves.
Right. Because if a customer was able to log in to this instance of Robopack with permissions, they would see all of these customers, right? To a level, because there's something down here called tenant permissions.
Yeah.
And tenant permissions allows you to specify per tenant some permissions. But all of this is really, really ingrained into Robopack. When you create a patch group that we'll do later on, you can specify multiple tenants in it, and there's a chance that they'll be able to see much more than you would expect them to be able to see as a completely separate customer. So the best practice, or at least the only practice, is to not add customers into Robopack
Right.
if you're managing them as a main MSP tenant.
I think it was actually you that answered that question for me at some point. That you said if the customer ever needs to log into Robopack, don't do it this way.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, if you think they will ever need to log in, don't do the thing I just did. They normally shouldn't need to log into Robopack.
Right.
You're providing a service to them as an MSP.
Yeah.
If they need their own tenant, it's the same cost. They can go and get their own tenant. You can sell them as a partner. Down here, when we've got the partner section here, you can create, as an MSP within Robopack, you create other organizations that you can manage centrally using the partner section. But we'll go into that later on. Okay, good. So the next thing would be to take a look at what we've got over on the Robopatch side. In patch groups, I can create a new patch group down here, and we'll call this MSP standard patching. It'll be very
Maybe
loud.
you should
clicking.
explain what a patch group is.
I should. Maybe I should. Actually, you do it.
I don't know.
So I'm creating a patch group, and it's kind of second nature now for me to just click create patch group, because that's the standard way we onboard customers. The first thing you do is to create a patch group, and a patch group has three things to it. It has a name, and it has some configuration, and then it has waves. So all we do is we create the name, we type we choose the waves, and then we go and we add applications. So when I choose waves, we add the first wave. Now, as an MSP, my initial thought is that I would want to test things internally first. When a new version of Chrome comes out, I don't want it to go to any of my customers until I've checked that it works. And so with Cyberdyne, the MSP customer here, I can go to my VM test machines. I think it's called a virtual machine. There you go. Virtual machine test devices. The first machines that get the new applications are my virtual machines as the MSP. So none of my staff get it. Immediately goes to my VMs within 30 minutes of the app being released. And we just want them to immediately install that, restart, check that it works. And that has antivirus on there. It's got Defender for Endpoint. It's got all the good stuff on there. The next thing we have is the second wave. And so once that starts, maybe that can be, it could be just the IT pilot users in the internal IT of Cyberdyne. So that's my IT guys. Maybe there's, and girls, maybe there's going to be 5 or 6 people there who are happy to receive the application really early, within a day of it being released. They're going to check to see whether the application works at all. And so then after that has been completed, we can move to the customer waves. And that's going to be things like Contoso, and then these 2 customers down here. And you can literally add individual groups per customer by just searching here. I think I've got developers on one of them. We've got developers from Robopack. We've got macOS devices. We're not talking about macOS, of course. Stupid thing to say. Business development in Contoso. So we can select all of those. But as a normal rollout for standard applications, you might just choose all devices and push that to your customers. And then that configuration is done. You can see we've now created a wave which has all the customers in it. And if you have a customer who doesn't like to be first with application deployment, you can add another wave, as many waves as you like, with different customers in it. The point is, once we've got this configured, we now have a structure for deploying applications to all of these tenants. And then the simple task is just to add apps really easily.
Excellent.
Does that help explain what a patch group is?
Definitely.
Yeah, very good.
But maybe a small nuance for our viewers and listeners. You're now in the partner UI of Robopack, because the partner settings are there, but in the standalone, then there's not that option, correct?
Yeah, this button is only if you have a partner level access. But every MSP has access to that, to request that and create organizations as a partner. It's a different agreement, but you can essentially create trials for customers and can create new organizations and manage the licensing for them. We have a partner team who deals with that. But yeah, that button is there only because I demo that to partners as well. But as MSPs, certainly something you should have access to. So how do we choose the apps? What's the best way to choose the app? Nicholas, any thoughts?
So I think if we should start off with what Haji was saying with Shadow IT, we should probably look in the radar, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because
Radar.
we can see the different tenants in here. We can navigate through them all. And I think one important thing to highlight here is that, you can actually prioritize your apps here based on how many different versions there is, and also how many devices have that specific app.
Yep.
And I think that's a good way to start your prioritization. I mean, you can start by adding everything if you want to do that, but if you would like to have a little bit more control, you can take a few apps, the most standard apps across your customers, add them to a patch group and see how they roll out.
So adding to a patch group is pretty easy. It is just choosing the app. Let's choose Firefox and Chrome and Danish Firefox as well. We then choose the patch group, and I think I called it MSP something, didn't I? We do a lot of MSP stuff these days. MSP standard patching, add those 3 apps, and then go to the patch group, and we can see those applications are ready to deploy. It takes a few seconds because it actually does package these up and get them added to the patch group. It all takes longer when you're waiting for it. There you go.
Still fast though.
It is fast, yeah, you're right. These are now ready to go. So we have Chrome, Firefox, and Notepad, and they're going to go to wave 1 first, then wave 2, and then wave 3. All we do is choose start, and those applications will start heading over to my Cyberdyne virtual machine test devices. And we started by talking about the fact that MSPs are not able to reduce the workload because they have to create an application, then push it to one tenant, and then push it to the next tenant, then push it, and that effort, because of how Intune works, they have to switch to a different user and log in with that user profile in Intune, and then do the upload, and then do the manual configuration of the app. And you saw that all I've done there is literally ticked all devices on that tenant that I've just added. The setup time that we spent here has been less than 15 minutes. Is adding a new customer and deploying as many apps as I was able to select to that customer, adding it to the standard wave that we've got. And then when you have this structure already in place as an MSP, you don't need to do all of that again.
True.
You just add the customer to this list of wave 3. And then they're done. And then they're just part of your standard patching.
Yeah, and also take into account that, like back in the day for an MSP, you most likely had a global admin account, which is preferably no longer the case. Then you do everything with GDAP. But with GDAP, you cannot do everything. So it makes it more complicated to log in and get this solved, basically. And you need to do an MFA, or you need to have you have your MFA on some people's personal phone, from the help desk, or people who manage that specific customer or that specific tenant. So you need to centralize the OTP tokens in something like a remote desktop manager or something like that. So
I also think one important thing to highlight as well is that, as you mentioned, Dean, that Robopack is automatically doing the assignment of the first wave. If you had to assign the test group in every tenant as well,
that's true.
Also, and then check, is it actually failed or is it actually running correctly in every tenant? And then once you've checked that, it might be a few days, might be a few hours. And then you have to go and assign the next wave manually in each tenant. So that's basically what Robopack are helping you,
Yeah, otherwise you need to set up monitoring on every single tenant to make sure what's going on.
Yeah. And then we haven't really talked this is specifically about Robopack, this particular live stream, but Tenant Manager helps with the rest of the stuff that MSPs do within multiple customers, because the problem isn't just apps, it is the rest of the stuff you do with Intune.
Right.
But having that standardized capability that Intune gives you means you can layer on something like Tenant Manager and do a backup across all of your organizations with one click, and then restore across all of them if you need to. There's another live stream coming for Tenant Manager, I'm sure, but not today. I think that's all the demo I've got. There's not a lot more to it. We can talk about the partner stuff, really, I guess, by going into partners, and then this is where I'll see, as an MSP, I would see all of my partners and the license expiry and that kind of thing. You can manage it here. The technical side of it, the commercial side is in the partner center that we have, but you can simply create organizations, create users for those organizations and manage them separately. And they have a full separate Robopack instance that they can use. The only difference and downside is that you can't include them in your standard patch rings, so they're not going to be as quick and easy to onboard because the customer wants to manage it themselves. So that's the kind of decision you need to make right at the start. Okay, how do we get out of this back to our nice faces?
There we go.
Hey. It's sad that we couldn't get all of us on the screen at once.
I know, right?
But there we go. We're all kind of here. Not quite enough length on the cables for the cameras, unfortunately. So yeah, this was a really short live stream. We've been going 25 minutes. I think it's important that we keep the momentum on.
I actually think we're missing one thing though.
We're missing loads of things, but go on.
Yeah, but in the demo we could also perhaps dive into the customizations pack.
Gosh, yes. What a great idea.
Oh yeah, good idea.
That's why you're here. I'm sure there's many other reasons you're here.
But
Let's start with that one. You're right. And you mentioned it right at the start.
The different parameters.
Different parameters for different apps per customer.
Yeah.
That's almost impossible to manage at scale, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
Explain the problem while I get the solution.
For instance, you need to package a VPN client, and the one has like an XML file in there, another one has some parameters you can
license key,
or a license key and stuff like that. And even if it's the same client or the same program for the same VPN, customer A configures it like this, customer B configures it differently, and they need to have some sort of consistency all across the board. You don't want to like change everything for them. Just try to keep it as much the same as they're used to. But that's like a real pain, and it's unmanageable to scale. Basically, if you do it all manually, because like I said, it will take an enormous amount of time. Basically, to package the same app over and over and over and over.
Every time a new version gets released.
Yeah.
And you're right, Nicholas, thank you for that. Because if I take this, I've just configured the Global Secure Access Client, which is the VPN, an example of a VPN you were talking about. And maybe the license key for, well, you need to add a license key somewhere in the installer like this, or maybe you have to do it in a registry key. It doesn't really matter. The point is, if you do that once, then you're going to have to do that again for the next customer. Because if I choose save settings here, then it will package those settings up and push that to every customer, which is going to be bad because not every customer has this particular license key, or it's empty right now. So instead, I can go in and say, actually, this license key is for customer one, and maybe that's the license key for customer one. But again, that's going to go to all tenants, which is not good. So instead, we can add tenants here. So I've got my new customer there, I've got my MSP tenant here, and I've got my Robopack tenant here. That's 3 separate packages that it's going to build. So when I go back to Contoso, you can see we've got the license key for customer one. I can just replace that with, let me grab that. I can replace that with customer two. And then Cyberdyne, I can add that one, replace that with customer three. You get the idea. The point is that when I've done all of this, I never need to do that again, because that configuration is applied to every version of that app that gets released.
15 seconds.
15 seconds, 1 extra second per customer.
Indeed.
And as a new customer joins, you just click add. You
select
select it.
Do it again.
Exactly. Or they get the default from all tenants if they haven't got a customization.
5 seconds. So easy. 5 seconds.
And then when you save it, you'll see it has the different customers with the settings, and then it will literally create a separate app package for every one of those customers that has a change and deploy it in the right tenant at the right time every time a new version gets released. So massively helpful.
And that's only for parameters we just showed, but we also have for registry values as well. We have for files. And I think one of the things I also highlight is that when you do, if you click on add registry or add file, then if you take that one, then you can add the registry value here, and then you can actually enable it to remove it on uninstall. And basically, these two things require that you write 2 lines of PowerShell code at least, and doing it. And this requires 1 click, and that you provide the information. And this is for registry values. We also do it for files, and you can also do custom PowerShell commands as well.
And it's weird, right? Because Robopack is great for enterprises. Most of our customers are kind of small businesses up to hundreds of thousands of devices. And these features are useful for them, but they're critical for MSPs, right? They're nice to have for some small business who just needs to deploy 50 applications and doesn't want to spend a week doing it. But an MSP surely can't run a business at the scale, at the speed they need to, at the scale they need to, without something like this. They would need to have built something like this to
does
do
not
it.
need 3 license keys for the VPN access, but MSPs need
Exactly.
multiple.
Exactly. Yeah. But good shout. That was a missing thing. Thank you for that. Okay, we're gonna wrap up. I just need to somehow go back to the slide. There we go. I'm not even on the screen. There we go. Sorry, Nicholas. You are helpful. Just come around here. You
come around.
I'm pretty sure. We're going to wrap up now. So thank you for joining. Thank you for all of your attention. No questions this time, or at least I can't see them because it only shows me some questions and chat stuff. So hopefully this was helpful. We'll be doing another one on Tenant Manager soon, and more stuff generally around Intune for MSPs, because we think Intune is fantastic for MSPs, and we're going to do more content on that in the future. For now, thank you for joining. I'll let Harjit say goodbye.
Bye. See you next time.